Hi friends, Shanna Cramer here with Creatively Uncorked, and today we are going to paint this beautiful Happy Snowman. This is part of the Creatively Uncorked membership. This painting is out of our library. I have been on this buffalo check kick for a little while now, so I believe this is painting number 3 of the series with the buffalo check pattern. You can start out by tracing your canvas. You can get the traceable in your download section and go ahead and transfer that on. There are instructions along with it. Today we just have a few brushes. I have a 1-inch flat, a 3/4 inch flat, a approximately 3/8 inch flat, and then a 1/4 inch flat. I also have a small round for some of the little details toward the end. The canvas that I'm using today is a 9x12. Colors today are going to be red, yellow, blue, black, and white. Just the basics, that's all we need. We'll mix up our orange, we'll mix up our green. What do you say? Let's get started. This is going to be a nice, simple, little straightforward thing. You believe me? All right, so I'm going to start with the background. It's going to be some nice blues and whites and maybe a little pinks like it's an early sunrise. And then I've got the snowman. I'll fill him in. And then we have some details, hats, and because I'm still in the buffalo plaid kick, the scarf is going to be buffalo plaid. You ready? Let's get started. So to start out with, I have my pre-sketch canvas. You can find your traceable in your downloads if you want to trace it onto your canvas. And here is my big old brush. The background is going to be mostly white. So I'll just go ahead and start brushing on a thin, watery white. Look at this. I'm making a mess of my whole place already. All right. Don't be a paint flinger. Just paint slowly. That's easier said than done. I'm not made out of patience, so I tend to paint very quickly. I'm painting right over the top of that arm because really it's just a branch. It's not going to be that hard to figure out where to paint it again, so I'm not going to worry about things like that. Let's see. Painting over his little holly leaves there. Not too worried about being exact, and all I'm trying to do is get wet canvas here, wet paint on the canvas, so that when I add my next colors, they'll blend. All right, background is prepped. I'll just take a little bit of blue, a little bit of pink. We'll make a nice little purpley color there. Well, let's go with more pink. A little more pink than that. Yeah, and here's our nice bright early morning sky, and let's switch you on over here to, okay, so now you've got this side angle camera up here because I'm going to keep sticking my big fat hand in the way. It's nice if you can see around it, isn't it? Okay, so here's my pinkish sky. Give it a little blendy blend. Wipe that off, all right. Now a little more blue this time. Not that much blue. Less blue. All right, so here we go. So a little bit of blue up in the sky. I kind of want a halo around this this snowman's hat because the hat is going to be the darkest part. The face, right this area, is going to be the focal point. So that's where I want the most contrast. So I want it to be really light around the hat. That's going to be really dark. Sorry, I'm forgetting to talk here. Okay. So there we are. We've got some nice colors in our lovely skies. Some nice pink, some nice, actually, let's add a little color to that spot. Can't have just one white spot, can we? I mean, we could. Okay, now I'm getting a little more blues down here. So the snow is where the snowman is sitting. A little more blues, but not too much, not too heavy. How's that looking? Looking pretty good? If you ever need to blend, white is your blending color. Just grab some white, blend it on in there. Okay, and the trick to not having brush marks in your paint is to come off the edge of the canvas and lift off. So you're coming from the edge of the canvas, lifting off. Okay, and that's how you end up with no brush marks, where if you start in the middle of your painting, you'll have start and stop marks. All right, we are looking great right there. Putting my brush in the water. As you know, this is acrylic paint, and acrylic paint dries very quickly, and it dries permanently. So if this acrylic paint does dry on your brush, well, you're going to have to probably throw that brush away. There's not a lot that can save it after that. Okay, so I've got background. Now I want to get to painting that snowman. Snow woman? Snow beast? I'm not really sure. Okay, so cleaning off the brush a little, and my technique is going to be very much the same. I'm going to fill it with white and then blend my colors into the white. And this white is a little bit watery. I do have some water in my brush. Pretty happy for that side angle view now, huh? Okay, and let's see. I think I'll just grab my next biggest brush here. So this is the 3/4 inch flat. Tiny dot of water. And now I want to get the blue in there for the shadows. Come back here, plate. All right, so right along under the hat is where we're going to have some shadows. Right along on each edge of the face. Okay, and then once that's on there, I'm just going back to my white brush, the big brush, and giving that a good blend. Okay, so every time you pick up paint when you're blending, wipe that paint off of your brush before going back to the painting again, like so. I think I might need to touch up this area just a little bit once I get a little farther, but for now, we'll just let it be. I'm setting aside my white paint brush, using my smaller paintbrush that had blue, and this time I'm picking up some pink. I think I actually want to rinse that off. Rinse that brush off, because this part of the painting, this is going to be the pink rosy little cheeks. All right, so I've got the big rosy cheek areas there, and then back to my white brush again. And blend it. Wipe it off. Blend it. There. Now we have some beautiful big big puffy rosy cheeks. Okay, so that is the technique, and now we have this body of the snowman right down here. So same thing, there are going to be a lot more shadows here. There's no rosy pinkiness down here. So we'll have white and blue. So taking that damp brush loaded with white paint, just going to go ahead and fill in the whole body. I think I may need to do some touch-ups around the whole snowman, just because it doesn't look like I painted all the way up to the edge there. All right, so there's the base white. Taking a little brush again over here. And that little bit of blue. So there's going to be shadow here. And down along the scarf. Under each of the buttons. Under this part of the scarf. And on the other side of the scarf, under the arm. All right, that brush back in the water, going back to my white brush, the big white brush. And by white brush, I mean the brush with the white paint on it. Blend, wipe the brush off. Blend, wipe the brush off. Okay, so that is looking pretty all right. Now we've got our snowman body. We've got our nice background. I'm liking the colors already. A little bit of purple, a little bit of pink, a little bit of blue. Isn't that lovely? I am going to take a break and blow dry this. Pause the video until your painting is dry and then come back and hit play. Okay, we are back and this background is now completely dry and I want to move on now to the hat. I'll switch to a slightly smaller brush and I want to do the red part of the hat first because I've got a few things to work around there. I've got that holly, and I don't want to paint over that with red and then try to cover it up with green. That's just too much effort. So I'll just let it be in the first place. Leave it alone. And just paint around those green leaves. I guess I've got my red holly berries there. I can probably just paint right over those, as long as I can still see them later or know where they go. That'll be fine. It's holly berries. It won't be that hard to figure out. So this hat comes down right here. I've already painted over some of my lines, so I just have to figure out where the edges are again. Not a big deal. Can you see what's happening here without that side angle view, or do you want me to turn that back on? Because we're kind of zoomed way out here now, too. And yes, I know I'm talking to a recording. I'm sorry about that, but I am used to recording all of these live, so I usually do have an audience when I record these. Not today, however. Okay, red, stop, done. You know, I could go ahead and paint this scarf red too. As long as we're on our reds, let's just do it. Okay, big brush. Whoops, picked up some paint there on that paper towel. Okay, big brush, red paint. And I'll be a little bit more careful about this because these edges are going to stay. These edges are pretty much permanent. So getting right up close to that little snowman face. And I think I can probably get away with painting over the arms. I think I can bring that back. So trying to keep my nice edges, and if this is going to be a buffalo check, then I can have this just being my base layer of red. So this is just fine. All I need is a solid red here. Nothing else really to worry about. Deciding if I'm going to keep those holly berries. Because if I do, I might want to... I'm going to paint over it. Let's not make too much work for ourselves. It's already going to be buffalo check, right? And yes, we are going to do the easy kind of buffalo check again today. That is my favorite kind. We have brushes that are exactly the width of the check pattern, and that just makes the brush do almost all the work for us. Looks like I did stick my darn hand in that wet paint. Shoot. Shoot. Okay. See if I can fix it up enough that I don't have to go back and make changes. All right, looks good. Looks good. Okay, and because I do have that terrible habit of sticking my hands in wet paint, I'm going to stop and blow dry this so I don't end up with red all over everything. All right, back again with yet another dry canvas. The red is all dry now, so I can go on and work on other parts of this hat. So I have my 3/4 inch flat brush, just picking up a little bit of black paint and a little bit more paint than that, I think. And again, I want to be careful with my edges because these are the edges. And if you need to turn your canvas to get a better angle to get those edges, by all means, do that. Just watch out for those wet paint. Touch more water in my black paint just to keep it flowing smoothly. Okay, back to upright mode here. And again, because I have that holly leaf, I just want to paint around that. There we are. Okay, so there's my hat. It is going to have a couple of more touch-ups, but that's going to be after it's dry. I'll have some highlights to add, some different shading, texturing. Okay, so now I'll move on to the rest of the hat. And this just goes back to when I always say use the biggest brush you can. This brush is probably a little too big to be painting this entire hat, but I can fill in some of the larger areas. Okay, brush in the water, switching to a smaller brush. This is my 1/4 inch flat. Okay, turning it again. And I just want to push the paint right up against the edge so I can get a nice straight edge. It's easier to get a straight edge in the first place than it is to try to go back later and correct your mistakes. A little more water, a little more black paint. And I'm going to try really hard to not stick my hands in any of this wet paint. I'll just take extra dry times, blow dry it as I go. Let's see. Okay, so now I have the top of the hat. If I can do this in one long brush stroke, that'd be the best. But if I can't, you know. Well, now isn't that just adorable? Yes, yes it is. It is freaking adorable. Okay. Actually, this goes right up here too. Yeah, like that. All right, and am I ready to start adding in the gray? Maybe. Just gonna lighten up the hat a little bit on the top. Blend it while the paint is still wet. Kind of separate the top of that hat from, or the top of the brim, I should say, from the edge. So I'm just taking a little bit of white. Ooh, I did it again. Gonna have to be more careful. All right. I'm just dragging that from the bottom up on the undersides of the brim, just to brighten it. Okay, and I'm now going to stop, blow dry one more time because I'm starting to get my hand in the paint. Okay, here we are back. The hat is now dry, so that means I can start adding in some of these highlights then. So I'll just take a little bit of white on my little flat brush, my 1/4 inch flat. I'm just going to add a little stripe down the edge of the hat. Leave a little bit of black there, not too much. Right down the red rim as well. There. Lovely, how nice. Okay, a little more white. Let's see, a little more water in my white. Okay, so I do want to have a couple of other highlights up in here, but first things first, I really want to get this light bright white, and then I'll switch to my gray. And then we're on our way to being done with the hat. Okay, so now we'll mix up that gray, a little bit of black, a little bit of white. That's probably enough right there. And then I have some middle highlights. I'll just drag right across the hat there. Okay, good enough. Now we're stopping with the hat. We are calling the hat done. I mean, there's still a couple of little berries and things that'll go in there, but not yet. Okay, so if I can cover up that little dot of black when I drag my hand through it. There. Now I want to get to this buffalo check here. Okay, I want a bigger brush than that. That big? Could be this big. Could be this big. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. So this is a flat, I'm guessing this is about a 3/8 of an inch in width. So buffalo check, just like we did before, we have our flat brush, which is going to be the width of the stripe. And then we wanna leave the width between and then move over the brush and do another stripe. Okay, so this color is going to be still red, but a slightly darker red. So mixing some black in the red and starting my stripes. I think I want to add a touch of water to that too. That's not going to be enough paint, so I'll just mix up a little bit more while I'm at it. There we are. And remember, you want to leave about a brush width gap between the stripes. And if you wanted to go ahead and draw all these on there, you certainly could, but I'm not going to do that. That's what I have a brush for. I'm just going to paint them on. Stripes are getting a little too big there. Gaps between the stripes. Okay, mix a little more paint, don't have quite enough. Okay, now I'm dragging the stripes all the way down the scarf. And this one too. A little bit more water. Keep that paint flowing smoothly. All right. Okay, so now we've got our first set of stripes on there, rinsing out that brush a little, and ready for my second set of stripes, which is going to be this way and darker. So taking more black, more red. Don't want it completely black. I do still want it to be a dark red, just a darker red. Okay, looking pretty good. So now this time we're going all the way across that scarf. With that darker red, adding water to it just to keep it flowing. Definitely gonna have to just come back and add those arms right at the end. More water, more paint. Little bit more. We have this front of the scarf yet to do. All right. Looking pretty good. Do we want to do any buffalo check on that hat, or is that going to be overboard? Ah, what could it hurt? Just a little bit. Okay, enough of that. Now let's move on to the last color. The last color is going to be our darkest color, which can be black. What the heck? I like the way this pattern is coming out so far, so I'm gonna take it as is. Add some black. So every place that our lines cross, now we're adding black. And this is the final touch on that buffalo check pattern. Tempted to blow dry this right now. Oh, yep, that one got a little too wide. That's okay. Almost done. Last piece of scarf. All right, beautiful. Let's take a look at this hat now. So he's going to have a black check there. One there, and one there, and one there, one there, like so. All right, we did it. Success. We got buffalo plaid on the hat and on the scarf. Just adding in a couple of little shadows in here with the black. Lovely. Gorgeous. Like it. All right, moving on. Okay, now we have our Happy Snowman. I'm stopping and blow drying one more time. You know how this goes. All right, painting dry again one more time. And we have a few little details that we're going to add in here. We have those arms that need to get put in, and face. We have some colors to mix up. We're going to have an orange nose and a green, some green little hollies, holly leaves and holly berries are going to be green. So let's go on to, we have a little bit of black and a little bit of gray to do. So I'll start with the gray. So these leaves are, I'm sorry, his arm branches are going to be gray. And start right about here. Let's see. Hold your brush out at the end of the handle or much farther away from the bristles, and then you have less control over it, and that's actually what you want. Okay, because you want your branches to be kind of random, a little bit of a natural looking. And there should be probably some start and stop marks, because branches always have angles. Okay, I'll leave that like that and clean off the brush. I'll come back and add another layer on top of this, on top of those arms in a little bit, but for now, let's see, he's got some coal buttons. There we are. All right, now how do we feel about that cute little face? Let's get some eyes in there, and let's get some nose in there. Okay, just mixing a little water in with my black. Turning a little gray, but that's okay. So I'm going to go whoop, whoop, Uh-oh. I'm going to do this more carefully because, whew, me and that wet paint, man. Okay, so do some little eyebrows out here, or eyelashes. And there we are. Big old smile. Now I'm ready to break out the yellow paint and start mixing my other colors. A little dot of yellow. I only need enough to mix up some orange for the nose and some green for those holly leaves. So I'll start with the orange, take a little bit of yellow, a little dot of red, a little dot of white, a little more yellow, a little more yellow, a little more white. See, you don't need much at all. And we'll put that big old nose right there. All right, and the opposite of orange is blue. So our shadow of that carrot is going to be blue. So I mixed a little blue in with this orange, and I'm just going to add the shadow, a carrot shadow. Okay, and there's also a highlight, so I'll just take white paint and just put that down the highlight side. Okay. Now I want to mix up some green, so rinsing that same brush again. And I'll take some blue, some yellow, get a nice little green going on in here, add some white to it. I'm adding white because white is my opaque color, and the blue and the yellow are both very transparent. So to give this paint a little bit of heft, a little body, and to help it to cover what's behind it, I do need to have that little bit of extra white in there. So let's see, does that look like holly green? Well, I think it's good for a base coat. And that's just a little yellow, a little blue, a little white. And I'm just filling the whole leaf area in. I can add highlights and shadows in a little bit. And there should be one more sticking out way out over here. I remember drawing it in with a pencil, even if I can't see my lines now. So this gives us a good chance to decide, are we going to want any of that over here? I vote yes. I'm going to take a lot of white in it this time though. So let's see, do I need to draw that in again? Let's do that, okay. So if I do a leaf here, and I'm just starting out by drawing that line and then adding all the little spiky edges. Holly's really one of the pretty easiest things to paint. You don't have to think too hard about it. You just go ahead and add a couple of little, whoop. Get a little ziggy zaggies. Give it a little sharp corners. And I know this is a different shade of green now, but it has to be because I need more white in it to get it to cover. And then this one out here, so. There. So with those berries, I think I'm first going to do a little bit of white. And it's hard to see why right now, but trust me. So I want these berries to actually show up against that red background. And they won't because the red is transparent. It'll just darken everything that I paint. Everywhere I paint. So in order to get a bright red again, I need to paint those berries white first. There. Okay, you know what? As long as we have white on our brush, let's see about doing some snow on those branch arms. And a little bit on the other branch arm. Get a little bit of snow scribbled on there. And what the heck, we might as well put some darker gray so we can have a shadow on there too. And I'm just using kind of a dry brush here, barely any paint on there. Just sort of dragging it across, and that's going to add some texture. Kind of like a barky branchy texture. There. Okay, letting that go now. So what do we think? Do we like it? I think I want to punch up that nose a little bit. Get a little more orange in there. So this time I'm mixing just red, just yellow. No white. Because I want it to be a little transparent this time. And I'm just putting a coat of orange over the top of the color that I have there. And that's just going to bring out, it's just going to punch up the oranges a little. All right, what else can we do? We've got some little white highlights that we can put on that coal. Just a little tiny bit of paint just on the brush and just putting it right at the top of those buttons. All right, that's looking pretty good. I think we are getting darn close to done. So I have a few small little touch-up areas that I want to do. I'll take some white and kind of go around the edge of that snowman. First of all, giving him a bright highlight area right there, and then cleaning up that edge a touch. This edge too. Let's see. Actually, I thought I was going to have to touch up a few more spots, but I don't think I'm going to. Oh, I still have a little bit of black showing through here above the hat. You know, now that I'm looking at this with the white holly berries, I kind of like them that way. Is it okay to leave them white? All right, onward. Last couple of touch-ups. We're going to finish up these holly berries and leaves, and I think we're going to call it done. Add a signature and be happy with it. So on those holly leaves, I'm just going to take a little more blue, a little more yellow. Don't need to mix in the white this time. I just want a powerful green. Okay, and then I can bring that up into that holly. And I'm not going to cover the whole thing. I'm just going to do some little touches. Stripe up the middle, fill in maybe half of it, and that'll be enough to give it the appearance of having shading. There we are. A little bit more of that right over here. And might have to mix up a little more green. Now this, it's already very dark down here, so we don't want this to be too dark. I'll maybe add some more yellow to that, brighten it up. Yeah, we'll do the brighter green down here with the more yellow. More yellow, bright, bright, bright. There, now it's getting to be greener, nicer. That's better. And if I want to take more of a dark, there, just add it like center of that leaf, like the vein of the leaf maybe. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and now the last final touch. I'm going to cover up those red berries with red. So just taking my small round brush and dots of red. And I don't think I want to cover them up entirely. I'm trying to leave a white spot so that they look like they have a reflection. What do you think? Is it working? Yeah, I think I'm not unhappy with that. Okay, good deal. Good deal. All right, so here we are with our Happy Snowman. If you want to add any snow to the sky, you can certainly do that. Just some white paint on maybe the back of your brush. Just tap a few little dots. I think I'm going to leave my background as it is. And thank you for painting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next week.